we have already from variant B, B1, and Delta variant. So this is, I think, a very good result of this study. So that's why this vaccine, I can say that we can use to develop again and going to the phase 1 clinic. Yeah. About the how the challenging about the vaccine about the new variant. Hopefully, I think we can analyze this based on the protein in the region of the conserve and then hypervariable too. But you know that the variant of the virus, of course, leading to the forward many times can cause of the new variant, and you can find very easy. But I have already to provide our isolate. So that's why I think to making on the vaccine not the last step, but and this is I think the result is the beginning of the monitoring in the field about the new variant. So that's why we should prepare every time and every time and every year. So that's why we can to provide in the future in the best variant to develop for the vaccine. Yeah. With the high neutralization, of course. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Fedik. Hopefully, no more mutation, yeah, Prof.
Yeah.
So our vaccine will running properly. Thank you very much, Professor Fedik. Thanks again to Professor Inge, Dr. Sutira, and Dr. Parinda for the inspiring session today. Thank you for the discussion that we had. I believe it was really meaningful for the research on the COVID-19 and the our proceed of the next agenda. We will back to the Dr. Mega for lead this webinar. Thank you again. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you.
Dr. Prativi, for your time in guiding the invited speaker session. Indeed, it gives us insightful advice and a message as our shield and anticipation when facing COVID-19 in the future. Okay, right now we would like to move to the next agenda. This is another invited speaker session that will be moderated by Prof. Dr. Aditya Sukmana, SAMA. So as you can see here at the curriculum vitae, he is a professor in Islamic economics in Universitas Erlangga. He received so many grants and also a consultant in Islamic microfinance, trainer in workshop paper writing for a reputable journal. He took his bachelor degree at Universitas Erlangga, finishing his Master of Arts Economics at Georgia State University, and also finished his doctoral degree, Economics International Islamic at University Malaysia. Okay. To Prof. Dr. Aditya Sukmana, the time is yours.
Hello? Huh? Okay. Okay, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin, la ilaha illallah wa la syarika lahu, asyhadu anna muhammadan abduhu wa rasulullah nabiyya ba'da. First of all, I would like to thank ITTP, Universitas Erlangga, and World University Association of Community Development for having this important seminar. We are now in the session which focuses on how COVID in relation to economic, social, and statistics or math. And we have now with us three prominent speakers from three different countries: Indonesia, Turkey, and Malaysia. From Indonesia, we have Madam Dr. Nisful Laila. From Turkey, we have Madam Professor Dr. Nesrin Asti. From Malaysia, we have Associate Professor Dr. Norma Alias. I will explain its curriculum vitae when the presenter is about to make a presentation. For those of you who want to ask questions, you may write in the chat room. We will select and show it later in the Q&A session. For the first presenter, let me describe about the CV of Associate Professor Dr. Nisful Laila. She is an associate professor in Islamic banking and finance in Faculty of Economics Business Universitas Erlangga. Her education background is a bachelor from Universitas Erlangga, master from New South Wales, Australia, doctorate from Universitas Erlangga, focusing on Islamic economics. Award, she got the best paper in the 7th Global Conference in 2017. And she will talk about the strategic policy for COVID-19 economic recovery, protecting the poor and vulnerable. I believe her presentation is very important because we know that because of the COVID, the element of society which is most affected is the poor, right? So we need a strategic policy. I believe we will learn a lot from her, and without further ado, I would like to invite Madam Dr. Nisful. The screen is yours. 10 minutes for you, Bu Nisful. Are you with us, Bu Nisful? Hello?
Hello, yes, okay. Okay, before this is still mute. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, praise to Allah that today we are gathered here to discuss about very important topic about the COVID-19 and especially the guideline for living together with COVID-19. And thank you very much for the moderator, Professor Aditya Sukmana, my colleague, my guru, who is also very prominent in this field. And also thank you for the ITTP and Erlangga University for inviting me. And okay, my the ITTP can share. Would you please share my presentation? Or I do? Okay, I will. I hope you can see my presentation now.
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, I will discuss with you all about the strategic policy for COVID-19 economic recovery, protecting the poor and the vulnerable. And I will talk about the adverse impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the vulnerable, and then Indonesia's social protection response that already done and now still be done, and also Indonesia's economic recovery programs, and finally the recommendation. Since I only have 10 minutes, I hope I can present all my PowerPoint. Well, I will start with the macroeconomic impact of COVID-19 to our country, Indonesia. As you all can see here, we have many bars with many colors. I hope you can focus on the yellow and also green one. The green one is a total impact of the COVID-19 in the first row to the GDP, and then to welfare, and then to consumption, and then the impact to the investment, employment, and inflation. As we can see here, we can clearly see that the green one here, minus 6.49, is the decline or decrease of the GDP because of the COVID-19 impact of the COVID-19, especially from tourism and trade and PSBB or restricted movement of the people. And in terms of the welfare, we also decline quite huge, minus 4.65, and so on and so forth. So clearly here we can see that COVID-19 do impact, decrease our macroeconomic factors. Which is, of course, we all, because this is macroeconomic, so it's impact all of us, even all over the world. And I will talk about the one who most vulnerable group affected by a pandemic. There are at least 6 group of people who are the most vulnerable. The first one is the children, because they don't have a vaccine, not yet, only lately, maybe they will have. And then the elderly people, people with disability. We know that people with disability already have many restrictions, especially because here in Indonesia, we don't have so much facilities for them. And this is what we see every day in our surrounding, informal sector workers. And then also MSMEs, which is especially in Indonesia and mostly in East Java, Surabaya, where I live, the economic growth rely heavily on the MSMEs. So they all are what I call as the most vulnerable group of the people in this country. Before this, the children and also adolescents would have been disproportionately affected because of their large number. As we know that Indonesia right now have a surplus demography because of the children under the age of 18%, about 33% of Indonesia's population under the age of 18. And nearly 40% of them additional number of people classified as poor in 2020 due to pandemic. So clearly they have a vulnerable, they are in a vulnerable group. And also from a multi-year perspective, the COVID-19 economic shock will increase the prevalence of temporary child poverty, even with emergency social protection. From the website of Ministry of Finance, I have the data that based on the pre-pandemic projection, an estimated 15.3% of children will experience 1 or more years below the national poverty line during the pandemic. So clearly children is affected. And now the elderly and so on, I can say that they have increased health risks. Without a pandemic, they're already in the risk, health risk, but with pandemic, it's double, it's more and more at risk. And elderly has also limited and even no access to pension fund. As we know in Indonesia, not all elderly are covered by pension fund. And elderly and people with disability also have limited access to livelihood and income, usually because they are pensioned already and they have no income or maybe only a little amount of income. And then they also have limited access to health facilities. Not only them, during the pandemic, we all know that even the one who have a high status level in the society, a rich person also got difficulty to have access health facilities here. And then large-scale social restriction. This is also another problem. It's falling consumer demand, of course, and massive layoff have affected all economic sectors, especially MSMEs, which suffer disruption in the supply chain and drastic reduction in revenue. I myself, in the first stage of a pandemic, it is last year, 2020 in Indonesia around March, month of March, I almost got depression because I know as economists, this pandemic will hit very heavily, very seriously to the one that vulnerable, the MSMEs, the elderly, and so on. So at that time, I myself cannot describe. Yes, pandemic COVID-19 is about the health issue, but as all we know, the impact is on the economic very heavily and very seriously. Okay. Then the adverse impact on COVID-19 pandemic on MSMEs is a lack of operational cash flow and then drop in demand for product and services, as I mentioned, and even business is closed everywhere. We witnesses all of this around us. And reduction of opportunities to meet new clients and issues with changing business strategies to offer alternative product and services. So many businessmen has to change, otherwise they cannot survive. They change their business. And now let us see how Indonesia's social protection responds to the COVID-19 economic crisis. Indonesia government respond quite many programs. Some of them very important one is the program what we call it Keluarga Harapan. Keluarga Harapan or in English we call it Family Hope Program. This is a conditional transfer. Coverage expanded from 9.2 million to 10 million families in the social registry, and the value of transfer rose by 25% through December 2020 only. And there are also food assistance, what we call it Kartu Sembako. This is expanded coverage from 15.6 million to 20 million families in the social registry, and transfer values were increased by 33% through April 2021. If we see this number, 20 million, 15 million is a huge number, but as we know, this is only the one who register in social registry, who has social registry, but still many more, million more people didn't cover with all the social protection, as we know. There are also another food assistance that maybe in a local area like in Jakarta and surrounded, and then also unconditional cash transfer, also again in Jabodetabek. Jabodetabek is Jakarta and surrounded cities. Why? Because Jakarta as the capital city of Indonesia hit the most by this COVID-19 pandemic. And also unconditional cash transfer, we call it Dana Desa or Village Fund. This is new temporary scheme funded by reallocated resources from the Village Fund for rural areas, remote areas, covering 18 million households between April to December 2020, and still continue until today. So, Continuous Economic Recovery Program also have been done by the government. It's called Effective COVID-19 Pandemic Handling. As mentioned before by another presenter, that mass vaccination is happen in Indonesia. In Jawa Timur, East Java is one of the most the highest number of mass vaccination. This is very good. Give us all confidence to open business again. And 5M internationalization. What is 5M? 5M is a health protocol, a strict health protocol, like social distancing, avoid the crowd, and wash hand, and etc. And also triple T implementation, tracing, testing, and also treatment. This is three weapons that we can do to combat the COVID-19. There are also structural reform in Indonesia, omnibus law on job creation, and then fiscal reform and financial sector reform. And another economic jumpstart is the tax incentive. Of course, this is the response from the government, the tax incentive, financing and guarantee program, integrated policy package from financial sector stability committee. There are also social protection programs by Indonesian government, as I mentioned before, and this is the numbers, and I can move to another. Government supported program on the essential sectors, like in the health sector, they have a special program in the social protection and MSME support, priority programs, and business incentive. As we can see here, especially in the business incentive, there are income tax borne by the government borne income tax for MSMEs, income tax exemption on imported good and VAT refund, and incentive on sales tax of luxurious good for motor vehicle, and incentive for property sector. And okay. Increasing the collaboration of stakeholders also needed, especially between central bank, the very important institution in Indonesia during the pandemic, and government and Indonesian Deposit Insurance Corporation and Financial Services Authority. We are very grateful that Indonesian Deposit Insurance Corporation took a very important role here. They are lowering the premium, relaxing the payment period for insurance premium, and reporting schedule of single customer view system. And also for central bank, there are monetary, macroprudential, and payment system policy as well, and so on and so forth. That's why we are very happy right now in Indonesia, the stability of financial system, the banks still operate very good news for all of us. Otherwise, we go worse. And now I come to the end, almost, the recommendation for the community. This is what I think very important, because government alone cannot do much. It should be supported by all the community, the NGOs and other organizations beside government organization. Especially in increasing public participation in the mission of enforcing health protocol in the new normal. All components of the community should take part to promote this health protocol. Otherwise, it will never end it. The pandemic. And then increase participation of social institutions to raise funds for vulnerable. As we know, here in Indonesia, even every very small area, RT, RW, in the village, in the remote area, when they heard their neighbor affected by the COVID-19, they spontaneously give food, give treatment, health treatment, and give also fund to them. This is very important, because without the caring of the neighbor, I think it's very difficult to face this COVID-19 pandemic. And then participation of researchers to overcome the pandemic and economic recovery in the new normal also need to promote more. And Airlangga University and also ITTP took part huge here to do more and more research to face this COVID-19. And increase people purchasing of MSME's product. And now we have the kesadaran. Now we have the understanding that because MSMEs is very vulnerable, then we give more attention. We not only going to the big super mall, but we also buying from the MSMEs to support them during this pandemic. And next one is opening tourism sectors and public transportation with strict health protocol. Now we are in the almost end of the second year of the pandemic, so we can only hide ourselves, not going to work, not going to the tourism areas, because as we know, like Bali, who is heavily rely on the tourism sector, are very hit badly. So we need to help them to recover the economy again, of course, with new normal, with new understanding that if we're going to the tourism area, we need to strictly apply health protocol. Last but not least, the community have to get used for living together with COVID-19 pandemic with maintaining health protocol, as I mentioned. Okay. This is the recommendation special for MSMEs. Actually, I took this from the last research by my team, ITTP team, that MSMEs need funded expertise transfer agreement and also capital loan service and easy financial access. Again, they need financial access. If not, maybe they cannot survive. And also collaboration to start with smaller unit and gradually approaching larger ones to achieve a systematic and orderly transformation. And cooperation, of course, is a must. And for microfinance sector, they also need or they can help the MSMEs recovery by providing fund and exchange program, and also education and technology. And I cannot finish my presentation without saying about contribution of Islamic social finance for economic recovery, because this is my background, educational background, and the data said that in the context of the pandemic, all the instrument of Islamic social finance, we have so many kind of Islamic social finance, zakah, sadaqah, waqaf, takaful, ta'awuni, and it should be coordinated together and integrated with the fiscal policy of the government in the form of safety net and proper expenditure. It will help government a lot to save so many people who are in vulnerable group from this pandemic. And lastly, Indonesian government also has issued cash wakaf link sukuk. This is innovation in the Islamic finance, Islamic social finance, which the contribution can be increased from the vulnerable assistance program and economic recovery. I think that's all I can share to you today. I'm sorry if I limited more than 10 minutes, and I give it back to Professor Aditya. Thank you, Professor Aditya.
Thank you, Madam Nisful, for the enlightening presentations. I believe your presentation also is important, yeah, for the MSME and recommendations. And we know that the government has doing their best, yeah, to save the people. And without further ado, I would like to continue with the second presenter. Let me read her short CV. She's a Professor Dr. Nesrin Asti from Istanbul Demiroglu Bilim, University of Turkey. She's a Dean of Health Science Schools, Academicians of Health Science Schools. Her education background is licentiate, I hope I pronounce it correctly, Department of Nursing, Istanbul University, master degree in Health Science of Istanbul University, doctorate in Department of Psychiatric Nursing, Istanbul University. Her topic is psychosocial problems and solutions of the health workers and her family during COVID-19 pandemic. This topic also is important, yeah, because we know that the health workers is the role is vital during the pandemic. Yeah. Without further ado, I would like to call upon the Professor Nesrin. Are you with us right now? Okay. Okay, I've been informed that the Professor Nesrin is not right now with us, so I will proceed to the
Professor Nesrin with us.
Okay. Right.
Yes.
Thank you.
10 minutes.
Greetings from Turkey, from Istanbul. Thank you for your efforts on your webinar. My speech is different from others about psychosocial problems on population in Turkey. A psychosocial problem solution of the health worker and her family during the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, Istanbul and pandemic panorama. Psychosocial problem and solution of the health worker and her family during the COVID-19. Although the COVID-19 pandemic, which caused mass deaths and the 21st century has been treated as a global problem, the process has lived and experienced differently according to geography and cultures. During the COVID-19 pandemic, I will address the psychosocial health and problems of the health worker and his family, her family, according to my story, which I have written in accordance with the cultural structure of our country. I will also try to give my solutions and proposal in accordance with the conditions of our country. The picture from child, student. My story. My brother was sick of being unable to go out on the street and play ball with his friends because of the corona disease. Also, he was tired of my grandmother's frequent words to wash his hands, whining and crying for no reason. The smell of spring inducement flowers, the chirping of birds, beckoned children to the park, to the street. When my grandmother saw my brother with the ball under his arm, leading to the door, frowning, "How many times do I have to tell you? It's forbidden to go out on the street until this thing is eradicated, no games with friends." As she shook her head and pulled her rosary, she mumbled, La havle ve la kuvvet illa billahil aliyyil azim. And she said that your mother calls from the hospital every day and says she wants us to be careful. My brother didn't make it out on the street again. He kicked the ball so furiously that he said, I'm not going to do that. The bouncing ball took off, stood hesitant as it passed over my grandmother's stop. And when my grandmother shouted, forbidden, like children running to the game on the empty street, jumping downhill, bouncing and disappearing. My grandmother looked under the mustache and said, no ball. I want my mom. I want my ball. My grandmother had my brother kiss him, waved him in his arms, praying like a lulish. When my brother, who put his face on my grandmother's rose-scanted chest, calmed down, he asked, Grandma, does God hear our prayers? My grandmother nodded as she hugged my brother more tightly and continued her prayers aloud. So tell him in your prayers, don't let this bad germ come to our street. The number of nights we couldn't see my mother had increased. My brother started coming to my bed to sleep after my grandmother's prayerful good night. Like every night, he asked me to tell the fairy godmother tale that our mother made up for us. We fell asleep hugging each other before we could finish. I dream about my mother and she says, we have a lot of patience. I can't look after you from caring for them, but when they get better, I am happy to see you, she said. I was just about to hook her. Mom, Mom, I woke up crying. I was repeating in my mind, my mother should look after us. She should look after us. Paramedics dressed as my mother would come and go in and out of her house. My grandma closed the window overlooking her house and said, don't open it. This bad germ comes from the air. She said, and she warned us firmly. My grandmother read Yasin 3 times after noon prayers. That was enough time for me to do my duty as a fairy godmother. Poor Adile Granny didn't have a daughter or granddaughter with her. My grandmother cooked potato pie, which Granny Adile loved. I quietly left the house, putting in the plastic box. Granny Adile was delighted. She finished all the pies in a bite. When you leave, don't tell me medics that I am here, or Grandma won't be able to send you food, I said. I went to Granny Adile one more time. She looked tired and she said, my dear girl, my mouth has no taste. I don't have an appetite, probably from the handful of drugs I have swallowed. I sat next to her with a smile. Adile Granny, you have to eat to get better. My grandmother made this dish for you. She will be very offended if you do not eat. Tonight, I was too tired to tell my brother the fairy tale of the fairy godmother. I was all itching. I dream about my mother. How are you, Gulperi says. Mommy, why is your eye blue? You always called me fairy. My mother disappeared. Mom, I opened my eyes. the paramedics in mask and overalls, and my tearful grandmother. Even though I could barely breathe, I smiled and asked excitedly, "You are taking me to my mother's hospital, aren't you?" It is all white and smoke, rusting voices, masked angels walking like they are flying in white. What angel is my mother among them? I can't choose. Which one of you is my mother? I want to ask you, but I am quiet. Two angels leaning over me, as if I know one of them. The blue eyes looking lovingly say, "How's our Gulperi today?" After me, they bent over to take the next vet. "My dear friend, your daughter Gulperi is lying next to you. Open your eyes for God's sake. Look at her. Heal her. Mommy must be sleeping next to me because she is so tired of taking care of patients." It is like the blue-eyed angel is trying to wake her up for me. Then the other angel says, "Help me. Let's get her caught closer to your daughters." Why? It was with my mother, even in separate beds. We sleep hand in hand like before. I feel like I am looking out the window in the rain mist. I feel like mommy's hand isn't as hot as it used to be, and it is not holding tight. Mommy's very tired. She is in deep sleep, and her hand is out of her blanket. I think she is cold, but why were all the angels running? I thought of my teacher's homework on idioms, sleeping like a dead or dying like sleep, which my teacher said. In my mind, frozen words were sticking arrows in my eyes, lungs. My God, accept my grandmother's prayers. Let mom wake up. I felt a hands-off, or so it seemed to me. Mommy said, "Dear fairy, I am flying to heaven. You must remain here as your brother's fairy godmother." Her smile hung in the air as she pulled her hand. The runs froze, sobs mingled with hissing breaths. Story analyzes the problem of the pre-pandemic in this family can be listed as a divorced family, the children without father and grandfather figures, a mother who works hard, does not get paid for her efforts and cannot make time for her children, and a grandmother who struggles in the care of grandchildren due to chronic illnesses and old age. The pandemic has caused a sudden change in education, work, and social interaction, as well as in our daily lives. Those of us caught unprepared for these unexpected changes, we continue to efforts to adapt individually, family, institutionally, and socially according to our age, gender, education, field of work, religion, and socioeconomic level. The perception of corona disease and the attitude towards fighting the disease affected by age, experience, knowledge, and being conscious. The health worker in this story is a nurse who lives with her children and elderly mother and works in the COVID intensive care unit. She has a play-age son who has not yet started school and a daughter who is in 5th grade of primary school. The boy in this story is a 5 years old and play-age boy, and he is in the period of pre-procedure according to Piaget cognitive development. Children of this age are egocentric and can't look at things through someone else's eyes. The ability to pay attention to more than one feature of any situation, event, phenomenon has not developed. In other words, the problem of this age child, neither disease nor the mother's hard work, is that he can't play with his friends on the street. In their thoughts, it is possible to attribute vitality to inanimate objects and to think that someone caused natural phenomena. He can reason, but he can only think about things in one way or another. Due to the pandemic, he was banned from playing ball in the street, in the park, and mother's longing was added to his lack of father figure and love, and he seeks help from his grandmother's prayers to prevent this microbe, which he could not see or understand from stopping on his own streets. He satisfies her mother's longing with her older sister, who have taken on the role of mother. The girl in this story is 12 years old and in the period of social operational, according to Piaget cognitive development. She can solve an abstract problem in logical ways. She thinks relative and comparatively. They can use a whole sense of thought and make logical distinction and strive to develop their own moral understanding. In other words, she is a teenager who understands the virus, the ways of transmission and isolation, who is aware of his anger at not being allowed to play ball outside, who acts like a mother to her brother, who deprived that good night kiss, and also who carry out the logic that a nurse mother can take care of her child as she takes care of other patients if her child is sick, to solve the mother's longing problem. Grandmother in the story is an old woman in charge of the care of grandchildren and responsible for housework. According to biological theory, her cells are worn out and their functionality is reduced. According to sociological theory, she is living in a period in the self-actualization. According to psychosocial theory, she is a grandmother in the fragile elderly group who had many losses such as functional losses, loss of interest, loss of social environment, economic loss, loss of family members. In this process, she tries to keep her grandchildren away from the disease, worries about her daughter, struggles with the disease brought on by old age, has the full responsibility of her 2 children without father, grandfather, mother, and also fears that she will be sick and die for her nurse daughter, who works in COVID hospital. This elderly woman, whose relations are restricted to neighbors, mosque, and outside during the pandemic, she's a grandmother who often prays to protect her grandchildren from disease, keep them at home, and satisfy maternal longing.
Professor,
The
can
nurse,
I 1 minute?
okay. The nurse mother in this story is young woman who taking responsibility for adult life as a mother and employ has close relationship problems, and has a lot of family responsibility and also a workload. Okay. In particular, in school children and adolescents, restless, aggression, over attention, nightmare, concentration problem, inability to perform activities expected to, especially in adolescents, the necessity of staying at home due to epidemic condition, restraint, sleep, and eating problems, excessive restlessness, aggression, introversion, sadness, intense anxiety, play, and substance abuse can cause risky behavior. To reduce fear and other psychological effects, quarantine children should be allowed to communicate with their parents at any time via mobile devices. Solution. Okay.
Make a conclusion, Professor?
It is psychosocial health worker approach, health workers, health workers, nutrition, housing rest, and safe equipment supply, providing video communication opportunities, psychoeducation, group relaxation, group mental problem sharing, individual problem sharing, also increasing the salary of health workers and especially nurses, increasing educational payment during the COVID-19 pandemic. Nurses with young children are not employed in COVID units. It should be regulated as COVID-19 is considered a occupational disease. Thank you for your attention.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Nesrin. It's a very enlightening presentations, and which shows that the important roles of the health workers. Thank you, Professor Nesrin. And we move to the last presenter. Let me read her short CV by Dr. Norma. She's a lecturer in the Department of Mathematics Science, Faculty of Science, UTM, Associate Professor, Research Fellow, and Head of Networking and Linkage Division of Central and Sustainable Nanomaterials, Ibn Sina Institute for Scientific and Industrial Research. Her education background is a PhD from UKM, MSc also from UKM, and BSc in Math from also UKM. Her topic is about the predictive model based on the machine learning strategy for predictive active COVID-19 cases in Malaysia. I believe also her topic is very important for us to know what will be happening in the coming future. Without further ado, I would like to invite Madam Associate Professor Dr. Norma Alias. Screen is yours. 10 minutes, Professor. Professor Norma?
Yes.
Okay, good. Alhamdulillah. Go ahead.
How are you?
Good. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To the chair of this session, okay. And then I'm also would like to share screen, okay, about my talk today. Okay. Okay, this is a screen. Okay, do you see my screen? Yes. Right. So now let's go to the topic today is what is the predictive model, okay, based on the machine learning strategies to predict the to predict the active COVID-19 cases in Malaysia. So we'd like to share with you what is the strategies to predict the process of increasing or decreasing wave of the COVID-19 pandemic in Malaysia. All right. So I'm a Professor Dr. Norma Alias from University Technology Malaysia. Okay. And this is our university, and the names, okay, the aims for 2020 for UTM Vision is to provide sustainable campus experience to UTM student, staff, and surrounding community. So this is one of the program where UTM, I think, happy because we are dealing with the research community to solve problem with the COVID-19. So I would like to share with you, okay, the content. The first content is I want to compare the COVID-19 outbreak for the selected countries compared to Malaysia, and then the data of active COVID-19 cases in Malaysia, and what is the methodology of machine learning, which is part of the artificial intelligence technique, okay, to develop a predictive model and how to implement it based on the tool and the apps, okay, or platform to support the simulation, some result discussion and conclusion. Right. So now, okay, we know already. Okay, we know already the virus of COVID-19. Okay, we know started from maybe the end of September. Okay, 2019. All right, and then how the disease spread and impact to the COVID patient, especially developing the ground glass region at the lung area. All right, so based on the medical images, we can see the stages of the changes area, especially at the lung. All right, so now when we compare with the selected cases, okay, for example, in in other countries, for example, America, Russia, China, United Kingdom, and Singapore is a suspect country. You can see that, okay, for example, in United States, all right, on April 2021, okay, the case decreasing, all right. And also Russia, April 2021, okay, the case mostly decreasing, the active case of COVID-19 decreasing. Right, in China, okay, they are very early, April 2020, the case is decreasing, and United Kingdom, April 2021, all right, the case is decreasing. How about my neighbor country, Singapore? Yes, okay, September 2020. The case is decreasing, however, it's like wave, all right? Okay, maybe below than 1,000 active cases exist in their country. All right, so now let's we compare with my country in Malaysia. Okay, the wave, okay, is sometimes increase, sometimes decrease. How about India? All right, okay, also, okay, there is a few waves to represent the active cases of their country. All right, Indonesia, I think you know more. All right, the cases is also like Malaysia increasing. All right, based on the what we get the data from the specific government in Japan. All right, we can see the wave. Okay, all right, sometime increasing in June 2020, the wave started decreasing. All right. So now, how to analyze this data? Started from January 2020 to okay, August 2021. All right, how we do the data analysis? All right, so in this case, okay, we get the data from our government, okay, malaysia.gov.my, and then start do the expecting, do the data cleaning, the data transformation, and then develop the mathematical modeling as a root, as a fundamental of the predictive model, okay, using machine learning technique. All right, so we hope that, okay, that we'll get a good conclusion to support the decision making. All right, to do that, okay, we need to do some transition from using a small data, okay, a specific data, all right, to the big data. Maybe we need to refine the data in terms of the how the data collect, not just by day, maybe by a few hours, all right, a few duration, okay, to make it more big, okay, based on the velocity and the volume of data. All right, so when we do a research with the big data, the impact is a very good, accurate prediction. All right, we can give a good, okay, decision making in terms of the, in Malaysia, we keep SOP, okay, the previous speaker also, okay, represent about the good SOP, a good policy, okay, to reduce the active cases in the country. And then the second is maybe because of the way how we introduce the vaccination program to the population and reduce the infodemic or miscommunication through the viral, through the social media about the COVID-19. So we hope that, okay, the visual inspection data will represent or will observe, will monitor, okay, the process of active cases counting, all right, and then recover process, all right, and then the death, okay, cases, okay, based on this disease. All right, we believe that, okay, mathematics as a root, statistics as a root to support the decision making of data science. All right, so in this case, okay, we use this root, okay, to represent, okay, to support the artificial intelligence. All right, what is artificial intelligence? We hope that the prediction will be more intelligent and smart than humans, or maybe, okay, at par become intelligent as a human, or not just, okay, intelligent as human, but maybe we can improve by others' method, right? So now, machine learning is a part of the artificial intelligence. Okay, when the data increase, the data from the COVID-19, okay, for 1 year, 2 years, 2 years, based on the velocity data collection, all right, we can apply deep learning, all right. The example of the machine learning, quite familiar nowadays, is an artificial neural network, all right, with the specific classifier method. All right, deep learning nowadays, people looking, okay, they're very accurate method, very fast, we call as a extreme learning. All right, so now when we draw the graph, okay, between the complexity and the highest value, okay, to do the analysis, yes, artificial intelligence we consider as a more robust, automated, all right, and then intelligent, all right. So what we do now is more on the data visualization, okay, we do the predictive analysis, okay, but we want to be more, okay, complex to do the analysis. All right, so the data of the COVID-19 is a supervised learning, is a labeled, okay, we can count, we can label, we can put some notation for the data. So this is a structured and easy to learn, all right. So I'm using supervised learning based on the structured data to do the classification, all right. Okay, maybe after this multi-classification, it is more, okay, accurate, all right, compared to the develop a model. Why accurate? Because, okay, we do this ecosystem process from data collection, data discovery, and then we do the vectorization and data preparation. So the expert, okay, of the mathematics and statistics is very important to do the feature reduction, feature extraction, classify, improve the classifier model, and so on. All right. So that is what we call performance metrics, okay, indicator or evaluation to represent, okay, the decision making or the result. All right. And then towards the end, we, okay, increase the data, depends on the velocity, the time duration, and so on. All right. In Malaysia, okay, we also use mathematical modeling to represent, okay, how the wave of the COVID-19, all right. So they are using SEIR, is a suspectable exposed infection and removement mathematical modeling. All right. So, however, you can see the error between the exact solution, the wave, okay, how the COVID increase, okay, and the approximation solution from the model. It is really far. Okay, the prediction is the error, the residual is very far. So, what should we do? All right, we need to make the prediction much close to the data, all right, to the exact data, okay, from the MOH.gov.my data, all right. So they give us the data, okay. There is a 3 times outbreak cases from the 1st of January, April 2020, and then now, okay, there is a 3rd times on June 2021, the wave. Right now, Alhamdulillah, okay, from October, September, the graph is, the active cases is decreasing. So now, we want to see, okay, from the given data, how much people, okay, there, okay, recovered, okay, confirmed with the active convict, all right? So the graph shows that, okay, the blue color, the data is a confirmed, red color is a recover from the COVID-19, Alhamdulillah. And then there is data, okay, death, right? So based on this data, okay, we also know the new cases, okay, from the MHGOV.NY. So we want to predict what happened, okay, for the next 3 months, the next 2 months, the next week, okay, of the data is really, okay, converged to the exact data from GOV.NY. All right, so now let's apply machine learning for analyzing a big data. All right, so now even though this is not considered a big data, so we can, okay, put the time frame, the time step, all right, to be more fine granularity. All right, so now we apply Gaussian model, okay, we apply, okay, recurrent neural network based on the long short-term memory network. Okay, this is one of the neural network type, okay, where we can use, okay, to do forecasting, okay, multivariate time series forecasting. All right, so Gaussian is a mathematical modeling. All right, there is always can deal with the small and big data. All right, so based on the long short-term memory network, or LSTM, we have two types: univariate, okay, univariate, and multivariate. Univariate means that we depends on the single time data variable, and multivariate, okay, we are doing a time dependent variable. So what is the result?
We have 2 minutes remaining.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, so we try to apply, and then we do some predictive analytics software. All right, we know how to use a data scientist performance metric, for example, sensitivity, okay, and specificity. All right, so the result shows that using the autocorrelation indicator, all right, we have a strong correlation where the result is greater than 0.02. We believe that what the classifier method that we use is more significant, okay, using the where the negative autocorrelation means that there is a positive way of the active cases. So we believe that correlation of the 0.125, which is above than the benchmark 0.02. So this data is much predictive ability. All right, so now, okay, we partition the data, okay, because the data is not like mainland China. Malaysia, the wave is a few waves, but mainland in China is the data is decreasing. We need to partition the data, all right, to get a good result. So the software that we are using here, because we work at home, we are using open source software. We integrated Spider and MATLAB and Python, all right? So beside that, we have so many software, for example, Access, SPSS, SPS, and so on, all right? So this is indicator that we're using, all right? So what is the result? The result shows that Gaussian able to predict the data wave, okay, based on the data partition. We partition into 3 sections. And then we also, okay, believe that LSTM able, okay, to represent the pattern, the seasonal pattern where the frequency is similar. The statistical reduce, okay, residual. The residual is can predicted, and then the the trend of data, which is really close to the original data. All right. So now, okay, the validation loss is much more higher than training loss. So means that there is a ability to generate a good predictor of the data pattern. All right. So when you compare between the mathematical modeling and the artificial intelligence, okay, the data from intelligence is much close to the active cases, okay, from the GOV.NY compared to SER model. All right. So we can predict what happened to data for the next month, the next week, the next 3 months. All right. So in our cases, maybe we can use 900 days data from January 2020. All right. So you can see here, okay, on August, okay, the graph is become increasing and then now start decreasing. All right. But July, the graph is really drastic increasing. All right, so we cannot, okay, use linear interpolation to predict the data. We cannot use fine tree or linear regression to predict to draw the graph based on the data, because okay, the data is not linear. The data is not in the regression manner. All right. So we believe that okay, when we have awareness about the data increase, we know okay what should we do. What is the vaccination program that we can implement? All right. So nowadays, Alhamdulillah, okay, most of the population of Malaysia, more than 90% have the first vaccination, then they go for the second vaccination. All right, so this is a learning process, okay, that we go, all right. So we want to, the future research, we want to apply deep learning based on the specific classifier method, okay, I listed here. And then we want also to go to the image processing, because artificial intelligence, all right, of the machine learning and deep learning available to represent the or to analyze the image processing from MRI, all right, and then we can diagnose, okay, or the classify or put the stages of the COVID-19 medical diagnosis, all right, whether there is stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, and stage 5, all right. So now, this is the ecosystem we need to repeat again by the increasing data. That's we call as a machine, okay, to generate the learning and testing. As a conclusion, all right, as a conclusion, I can say that, okay, COVID-19 in Malaysia is highly unpredicted. Okay, last for 8 months, last 900 days. Okay, when I'm using 560 days until August, okay, so it is highly unpredicted. But based on the machine learning, okay, we can, the prediction is close to the exact data from the GOV.my, all right? So we have said that this model is not okay, robust enough, right, because data is limited, but this is a good to do a prediction for the future, okay, for the future of database. And we keep knowing that, okay, the big data based on the 7V, variety, volume, visibility, the trustness, okay, it is very important, okay, to get the data, okay, the prediction, produce a data stream and do a big data analytic with the specific range, specific efficiency, okay, with the indicator of the performance metrics, okay, of the sensitivity, specification, preciseness, and accuracy. So I send my session to the Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Norma. It was a very enlightening presentation, very nice. And thank you for all the three presenters. Now we move to the Q&A session. And just now I see that Professor Nesrin, she has to teach. Yeah, she has a class, so she needs to leave earlier. So we end up with only 2 presenters. And when I check on the chat room, it seems that there's no questions for 2 presenters, but I think I just want to have one question to Dr. Norma, if I may. A very interesting presentation of Dr. Norma. I just want to ask you one question. In your model, have you accommodated the fact that some countries have first vaccination, second vaccination, or no vaccination at all, and how it affects the predictions of your future cases?
All right, thank you very much for your question. All right, so I got the data from the GOV.my. Okay, very easy to trace the data from their data bank. All right, so this is only active cases. All right, active cases, recovery, death data. There are 3 data you can get. All right, for the vaccination, okay, unvaccination, rejected vaccination, or very sensitive to the vaccine, it also happened in our company, or in our country. So in this case, okay, there is a future research, okay, because the scenario happened because the infodemic problem, okay, because the viral at the social media. All right, so people start reject, especially happened in our country from started the campaign of the COVID-19 till May 2021. People try to avoid the vaccination program, okay, and then try increase this SOP, all right, to avoid the vaccination. But nowadays, okay, I believe that, okay, we try, okay, use the artificial intelligence or machine learning to represent which is a true information, which is false information based on the machine learning. So okay, what I'm doing now, the research that we are doing now is to promote, okay, vaccination program, to promote the lifestyle during the new norm COVID-19. All right, so that's what we are doing. All right, and then the new policy when we caught in the COVID-19 environment, because nowadays, okay, you have to know we still work from home. Okay, we are still keep the distance and so on. So maybe, okay, we can refine again the data based on the statistic, okay, to get the other data, vaccination, without vaccination, reject vaccination, and others reason. All right.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Norma. I think I have one question. When in the chat room, there is Indah Rahmawati. So you want to raise a question?
Yes, yes.
Indah? Okay.
Yeah, can you hear my voice?
Yes, yes.
Prof?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So I'm Indah Rahmawati from Airlangga University. I have a question for Dr. Nisbul Laila.
Yeah.
So from your presentation, I see a lot of social programs provided by Indonesian government. So the question is how confident that all the programs that carried out by Indonesian government can help the economic recovery program in Indonesia. So that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Indah. Ibu Nisful, are you with us?
Yes, thank you very much, moderator, and thank you, Indah Rahmawati, for the question. How confidence, the data, we have to look at the data. As I mentioned before in the first of my PowerPoint, I mentioned that maybe I can share once more a little bit here. Even in my first PowerPoint, this is mentioned. The green one, the dark green one, is the total impact to the GDP, welfare, consumption, investment, and employment. But if we see the light green here, light green is total plus stimulus. So we can see here the minus is a decrease, even though still a little bit, still need more to do by the government to make it positive again, not minus to the GDP and so on. So I think there are huge impact in the stimulus, the support from the government impact to the economy as a whole. And I do hope that the government still do more and more until the economic is recovered fully. I don't know when, hopefully soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Nisful. To Dr. Norma, if you can look at the chat room, there's a question from Susia. What is the main cause of the fluctuation in COVID cases in Malaysia? What is the government strategy to reduce the number of COVID cases? I think this will be the last questions for this session. Dr. Norma?
All right. In Malaysia, we need to detect the significant cluster of the fluctuation. All right. So we need to sensitive with the cluster. Cluster means that which is a group, okay, is affected by COVID. So we name the cluster of the COVID-19. All right. We also believe that there is we need to sensitive about the trouble with the breathing, some extensive symptom of the fatigue, all right? We also need to know what is the large fluctuation, for the specific standard in our country, all right? So this is a very sensitive, the important is we keep the SOP, keep distance, keep others, risk of the infection of the COVID-19, and then we sensitive with the report, okay, and the graph is one of the key performance, okay, to make sure we reduce the, or we are aware about the facturated, all right? So in this case, there are so many activities, campaign during the new norm pandemic, right? There is what we call daily facturated in a new confirmed cases of the coronavirus disease. Okay, so we quite sensitive with the cycle of the data. Okay, daily facturation. Right, so the number is always getting from the system we call as a MySejahtera for every population in Malaysia. So when we have an active cluster or significant cluster of the facturation, so we need to avoid and report. Okay, there is a system to handle it, right? So I know we also aware about the how to make sure there is not many wave. Many wave. We try to reduce the wave. Now in Malaysia, I think 9,000, 8,000. Now become 7,000, reducing. So we hope that the wave still become reducing. All right.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Norma. I think thank you very much for all the presenter, Norma and Dr. Nisful. We have learned a lot from these sessions.
There one more, Prof. Raditya,
Yes?
from Professor Eko. One more question for Prof. Norma.
Let me
In the chat.
Oh yeah, Professor Eko. Okay, this will be the last, I think, yeah, because we are running out of time, yeah. This is question from Prof. Norma. Prof. Norma, are you with us still, right? So in the chat, there's a question from Prof. Eko. When the population already 18% vaccinated, what are the main factors to be considered in the modeling? Is there any possibility for the COVID to have many waves for the next 20 years? Please.
All right, thank you, Prof. Eko. I know, you are going, now you are Malaysian, you know the environment, of Malaysian, so, Alhamdulillah, in you can see my graph, in May 2021, the percentage is only 40%, 50%, but now, now you said that 80%, but you can see the latest is a 90% of our population is already first vaccine, all right? So the graph shows that, when people aware about the vaccination program, people aware, to choose whether Pfizer, Sinovac, AstraZeneca, all right? So now in Indonesia, merah, something merah, vaccination, all right? So people aware, so they can choose which is, the type of vaccine they want. So because of the awareness, they go to the vaccination program and the graph, for the active cases, recovery, all right, deaths, will be decreased, all right? That you can see drastic, from October, September, they reduced to 8,000. Now, then 6,000. We want the wave go to 4,000. We want that is a standard for the population of 28 million. Population. So actually we can go to like Singapore 1,000. 1,000. All right, where the population is also minimum below the Malaysia population. So the next 20 years, because of we play with the machine learning, we put the data in the machine learning. Of course, we can predict the next 20 years. All right, because machine learning training the data. We need to make sure the training and the testing will be in the same, in the approximate, in the very minimum residual line. All right. So I hope at this moment, since we have around 900 days data, all right, so we can increase the data and then get the good prediction using artificial intelligence based on the machine learning. And when the data go to the big size, big volume, we can apply deep learning, all right? And then, of course, at that time, we are using high performance computing, parallel computing approach to solve the problem in a short time period, to speed up the computational, and then to solve the huge memory allocation. At this time, we're still using sequential or the small size of memory and low speed processor. All right, maybe cloud is one of the alternative to do the simulation. Right?
Thank you, Dr. Norma. Alhamdulillah, I think this will be the end of this session, and I believe we learn a lot from these three presentations. And with that, let us end this session with Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Once again, thank you, Dr. Norma and Dr. Indusful. I end with wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Master of ceremony. Thank you very much.
Now we are finally on the last session on this ITTP COVID-19 and Universitas Airlangga webinar, ASEAN Guideline for Living Together with COVID-19. I believe all the participants still here, as we will immediately move forward to the most exciting session, which is the Formulation Session by Prof. Nancy Margareta and Associate Prof. Dr. Nisfu Laila. Okay, this session will also summarize every topic that has been discussed in this morning. As the result, it will become the basic of recommendation to be developed in a policy for stakeholders in the context of living together with COVID-19. Therefore, in order we don't wait any longer, to Prof. Dr. Nancy Margareta and Associate Prof. Dr. Nisfu Laila, you may take your time leading the meeting now.
Thank you. I think I pleased Dr. Prativi to just to show the result of the questionnaire. I mean, just share the screen because I will just read it from the PPT that you already prepared for us.
Or maybe Ibu Puji can help to share, Ibu Puji.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ibu Puji.
Prof. Rita, Ibu Puji is the one who responsible with this research and sharing the questionnaire. So I invite Ibu Puji here with us.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Thank you.
Yes. We need young people to do such like
Exactly.
Thank you, Bu Puji, and all the audience and Prof. Eko. It is the result of the online questionnaire result that we have just compiled all the questions from Dr. Prof. Hisul and Prof. Raditya question, and also from me myself. So the result is, the question is, do we need to wear masks if more than 80% population already vaccinated? It is also what is just mentioned before, Prof. Eko. And he's saying, I imagine that most of the people say yes. Even that 80% population already vaccinated, people, the participants said that they will still use masks since the virus is still around. So they are still prepared for reinfection with the viral. And it is right that correct that vaccination is not 100% protection. And now, because everyone already has a good immune system and the risk of transmission is getting lower, but no, it doesn't mean that it is zero. So most of the people say yes, they will still using mask. Next. Is the quarantine required for someone arrived from abroad that having negative COVID-19? It is also a yes answer. Precaution to make sure that the person is healthy. So every visitor from outside Indonesia still have to 2 weeks, maybe 1 or 2 weeks quarantine. I don't know, Bunisul, it is have an impact of economy because we have less visitor because they have to stay 2 weeks.
Yes.
Quarantine, yes, but it is what the people think. Next, but the reason is correct, yeah. And do we need yearly COVID-19 vaccination in order to maintain pure immune system? Yes, it is correct to boost immunity, and but it is sometimes same ribet, yeah. In Indonesia, we have to again to the hospital and to the laboratory to make sure that the immune system is in the in good level, yeah. So yes, doing the yearly vaccination. We don't know how many in a year, yeah. Next, until when we will avoid social gathering, depend on technology. COVID-19 is going until 80%. So most of the participants similar, the same percentage. But most said is about more the color, yeah. It depends on the color, yes.
More than 1 year.
More than 1 year, yes. So it is a long time to avoid 1 year social gathering. Yes, okay. For Indonesian Asian people, it's something that difficult because we have Hari Raya and Christmas, yes?
Yes.
Okay, once a year, okay. Next. Can we use free of low-cost COVID-19 screening or must be used for traveling? Depends on the test accuracy and related policy. And then free or low cost COVID-19 screening. Yes, PCR, it is 65%. Just PCR, yes? Or
free or low?
No, 65% free or low cost COVID-19 screening.
So it means that Prof. Eko, please just make a machine learning that have a low cost screening test.
Yeah.
And up to yes, we will keep safe, but it's free or low cost. It is human. Next, how is the COVID pattern? Increase, decrease? I think everybody agree that it is decreased. Like in Surabaya, it's only about 1%, I think, the increase of the incidence, yes. But it is fluctuating, yes. Actually, we should ask Dr. Windu because Dr. Windu is working on the side with the governor about the epidemiology of the COVID-19 in community. But number 3, it is Dr. Mifsul, Prof. Mifsul. We can trust data from Indonesian government. It is something terrible. Yes, number 6.
Okay.
We can trust data from Indonesian government.
Yes, yes.
So who is which country that we trust? We are Indonesian, but it is okay. Yes, it is a pendapat umum. Yes. So it is, and then the whole COVID pattern is increased the same. And how long unlucky people can survive without proper what? The proper job. Yes.
Yes.
Is the unlucky people are too many people without no proper job, Dr. Professor?
Yes, less than 1 month, Prof. Due to monthly commitment, depending individual skill and unpredictable because of most of them has no social net fund and also good no good financial literation.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I agree with number 3 reason, unpredictable, because most of them has no social net and good financial literation. Yes.
Yeah.
So it is our job to support them. And also the ITTP have a program for that, yes, Prof. Eko.
Yeah.
Next, what is the effect of less social and physical for, yes, no good awareness for the future. It is the reason, no good awareness for the future in Indonesian society, difficult to manage time, increased mental health issue. Most of them said that it's less sociable. It means that no social gathering, yes? And actually we need social gathering. Many people that get a stress situation after they, the name is cubicle stress because of too long stay in the for the people that have to stay at home.
Yes.
Cubic stressful. Next, which is higher cost? Health management, old normal business or loss. So most of them choose
Less of money for new normal.
Less of money for new normal.
Normal. Yes. So we still use mask and physical distancing. But what is the new normal? So everything is only with that more using internet, yes?
Yes.
More in online. So it is mean no loss. No, it is internet is not something that so simple in the about the price. You know the quota is for the student especially, it's not tidak murah. New normal, health management the old normal business. Old normal, like Prof. Eko said, without mask, yes, Prof. Eko, but it is too scary for most of the people. So we choose new normal, but lost money because of everything became, I get a higher prices. Okay, and then if your country is already more, keep physical distancing, so the people still keep the physical distancing, no shake hand. So you can see that it is the old new normal. Even 80% vaccinated, new normal. Keep physical distancing, still no shake hand, and use mask but only in crowded place, like supermarket and etc. And traveling is still low, only 36. It's a low percentage for traveling. Next, interpersonal communication. People still use more internet and web-based communication. So you see, they still scared for the situation, even though 80% is already vaccinated.
Yeah.
And also stay at home after all. It's good. Yes, among the family. It's the most important. Not the keep at home, yes. Next. If COVID became endemic, as other infection, as managed as other infection disease, yes, they keep the a new normal, give to use the mask. You see, and they accept vaccination for routinary prevention. But and also accept no avoidance for social gathering, only 90%. So they agree that still an avoidance for social gathering is 75. And negative screen test still needed. Yes, new normal. Next. Routine vaccination is accepted if pre-test for the IgM level, yes, booster, and once a year, I think it is accepted. It is only 30%. Once a year. Once a year to many students. Once a year you have to go to the hospital for that, for the vaccination. So in general, once in a year is accepted. It's reasonable for the people. Next. Which one do you think can keep your mental and physical well-being when you have stay at home? It is good. 66% choose join an online class. An excellent solution. Just join a course. And also keep cycling outdoor and just work from home for our istilah, yes, in Surabaya. And but there is 13% that doubtful can overcome depression because stay at home. But it is a small compared to the other agreement. Yes. Next. New normal education, most of the people think that it is enough that we have an antigen test negative. In kedokteran in Surabaya, we have to PCR negative. But it seems that maybe it's antigen test negative. The people accept that as the prerequisite to start the school offline. And also, but people think that more online learning, they accept. It's not a hybrid, not 50-50, but more online. But for the education that they need skill, it's something that difficult because we need offline for the practice. But it is okay. People like to do everything, include the education through online learning. Next. Which one is your priority for online learning needs? So I think free internet payment for students, yes. Many faculty, I don't know in Prof. Nifso faculty, but in kedokteran they get some support, finance to buy the quota, yes.
Same, Prof. We also got one.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
It's okay. So it is nice from the university. And government support to low price good devices. I don't know how. Maybe the minister can just lower the price, or Minister of Economy, or the Health Ministry, the Professor.
Ministry of Education and Culture, Prof. Mendikbud,
Yeah.
who provide the internet for education.
And how about the communication, komunikasi dan blah blah blah? It is, they're not included in this jejaring network for just regulate the prices. No.
I don't think so. They already provide for education purposes, I guess, Prof. Rita.
Okay. In general, every item is important. They name the
Yes.
teacher, free internet payment, and government support, and
Yes.
also to teach the parents to facilitate the preschool aid. It is the most important because the parents usually is a lay public that don't know everything about the internet.
Yes.
Next, and preparing for endemic, a major factor that impact health worker empowerment. I'm glad that it is the point that I am into. Education as mentality, like what our president said. Mentality is important. We have to change it to understand everything that government, kebijakan pemerintah, like it is proof that it's good. Not by only critic and just say something that menyalahkan the government, yes. And welfare is also important, and distribution of the health worker. It is important for the doctor, because the doctor always choose the better place, and it's many reasons, because of the hospital, because the device, etc. But in general, now the collegium already come to join the government to just regulate the distribution of, especially for health worker. Next.
Yes.
And I think there's one, we have summary recommendation. If there is, I don't know.
It's Prof. Eko, Prof. Rita.
Professor, yes, okay.
Yes.
So, thank you, Prof. Raditya and Prof. Nisful, and also Bu Puji for the collaboration, and we have succeeded to have a result from the questionnaire. Back to Prof. Eko.
Thank you, Prof. Rita. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shall I share screen?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's come to the end of our meeting today. Yeah, basically I would like to thanks for everyone, all the speaker, all the moderator, the MC, and also participant, and all the committee that working very hard for the last few days back. Hopefully we got something today. We can have something that will be used to become the material for formulation for the next step, basically. So I think some question already answered, and also some already discussed here, that already highlighted. Basically, we can conclude these questions. It looks that we need still to apply the new normal. I mean, all the 3M and so on. Even the vaccination already 80%. I think people still worry to back to the old normal. So I think this only we need to have the strategy still. How to reduce the cost for all the screening, all the vaccine, and other thing that is not really high impact. I think this is one of the conclusion. And then second, so people can go back to the normal condition, but still it looks that digital system for the next future is still will be used, and also more and more. I think so. So I think this is some conclusion that I can get for today meeting. But I think the team Dr. Nisful and the team hopefully can continue in these conditions. So and then some just so for one informations on the next webinar. Actually we plan already webinar that we will conduct on the 15 of November. On I need to check what is the title was. Sorry, Mr. Amir, do you have the slide?
Yes, Prof. Actually I already shared the poster in the chat, if you notice that.
Okay, yes. So basically you can see in the chat, everyone can check there. On the 15th November, we have the webinar on the management of future healthcare and wellness center, because the healthcare and wellness center that is affected by the COVID a lot, basically. There are a lot of massage center and also salon, beauty center, and so on close to the COVID. But then after 80%, I think people still worry. And then how is for the next? So I think this is some question that we will answer, okay, during the webinar. You can check there, but also in the clinic and also, okay, other related to the health center. So, okay, we have, okay, some participants, I mean, okay, some speaker already stayed there, and then we will, okay, give you also something that might be interesting and, okay, useful, okay, for your, okay, centers. So now I would like to one more, okay, thank for everyone, and then I give back, okay, to the MC or yeah, to the MC, yeah, Dr. Prativi. Okay, thank you, okay, Dr. Prativi. Okay.
Thank you very much, Prof. Eko.
Yeah.
Bu Puji.
Thank you so much to Prof. Dr. Nancy Margareta and Associate Professor Dr. Nisful Laila, and also to Prof. Eko for their contribution to formulate the session of the formulation. And from the session, we can conclude an inspirational and grateful idea such as that we have to make more digitalization, still using digitalization on online courses, but still and using masks. And also, I also want to express my gratitude with the policy that has been made. We do hope that the policy will be helping for us in the future. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we close our ITTP COVID-19 and Universitas Airlangga webinar guideline for living together with COVID-19, let's have a photo session that will be led by the IT. Okay, so please the IT lead the photo session. Oh, okay. Okay, they asked me to help. Okay, so, okay, everyone, please open your video camera because we would like to document this very, very one of the marvelous session because we are making guideline for living together with COVID-19. Okay, I will lead 1, 2, 3. Okay, still another one. Okay, okay. Okay, thank you very much to all the participants who already joined this webinar. See you again on the next ITTP webinar about the health, healthness that really impact by the COVID-19. Okay, thank you very much. If I do make some, if there are any spoken that I make, I'm really sorry. And then see you on the next agenda. Stay healthy because good health is something that precious in these days and extremely priceless. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, thank you.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Thank you everyone.
Terima kasih.
Terima
kasih. See you.
Thank you.
Terima kasih.
Oke, Dr. Prativi. Oke, terima kasih. Thank you.
Bye.
Oke, bye-bye.
Meet you again. Oh.
Yeah, on the next few weeks.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
bye-bye.
you. Thank you, inshallah.
Bye.
Bye.
Ini.
Keluar.